Listen, for all you loving Marriage Huntsville fans that was like, I want them to get back to business. I want them to get back to business. I want them to get back to business. Well, guess what? They back to business, okay? They hiring, they firing, they got to do all these things in this episode, baby. So let's get into this Love and Marriage Huntsville review, baby. Let's get into it. We are on season, I'm calling it, I'm just going to take it upon myself to name the season because I don't know what it is, okay? But to me, it feels like season 6, episode 5, and that's what it's gonna be. Bloop. All right, so we are on what? Like I said, season 6, episode 5, and it's called "Speak Now or Forever Hold Your Peace," or what I like to call it, "Skate Town Showdown." All right, now where'd I get Skate Town from? Let me talk about it. So back in the day, back in the day when I was a little youngster, okay, every Wednesday night up the street from my grandmama's house, it was a place called Skate Town, okay? So Skate Town was where everybody went to get their little skate on. All the little teeny boppers and whatnot. We went and got our skate on and we did our thing. You know what I'm saying? Back in the day, you could go to these places, they ain't have to worry about nothing. You know what I mean? But anyway, so that's why I was like, oh, they took it back to Skate Town. So we're going to talk about the Skate Town Showdown a little bit later in the episode, but we got a whole lot to talk about before that. Now, let me think about what I'm going to rate this episode on a scale of 1 to 10. And I think for me, it's going to be, I'm going to give it a 9. And for those of you guys who are confused about how I do my ratings, okay, I'm giving you probably 7 basis points, okay, for just if I was entertained. Was I entertained? Okay. Did you give me something to do? Did you give me something that I could watch and get into? Yeah, you made some effort. Okay. But those next 3 points, you're going to have to work for. All right. You're going to have to work hard for it for me, baby. You got to work hard for the money. So for me, I'm going to give it a 9 because I feel like we got back to work. Stormy was all about the work in this episode. Mel too was about to work in this. Letitia and Martell, everybody was back to work. Okay. So I felt really good about this episode. I liked it. I laughed. I kikied at probably some parts I wasn't supposed to kiki and laugh at, but we're going to talk about it anyway. Okay. So let's start off. We start with Stormy and Courtney. They having a company meeting down to the Canvas Beauty, and they address the disorganization and the dysfunction and having 4,000 orders in arrears. Now, let me tell y'all something. I ain't nowhere near where they are with their business, right? But y'all know I got a little supplement brand or whatever like that or whatever. Okay. It's called Emirin. Now, I don't promote it all the time on this channel because you know what I'm saying? I'm sparingly promoting, different things, and different things got their seasons for when I'm gonna promote it, right? So, for me, customer service is stressful to me. I ain't gonna even lie to you. So, if there's a customer service order issue, I'm usually the person who is handling that, to be quite honest with you. And so because I feel like customer service is of the utmost importance, I try to go above and beyond to get those things done. And it sounds to me like Stormy is that same type of person. If a customer order is wrong, if something happens, you're trying to go above and beyond to make sure you keep those customers happy because at the end of the day, they are the lifeblood of your business. You know what I'm saying? So I understand why she's so passionate and emotional about, when customers' orders are wrong, you 4,000 orders in the rear. That means you got to please all these customers. And so that when you're giving gifts, for orders that are messed up, or when you are, having to take away something here and give something to a customer there because something went wrong with their order, you ultimately are taking something else away from your business. Now, that's not the customer's fault. That's really the fault of whatever happened that led to the, issue in the first place. So she has to now eat those costs. So I understand the level of, discomfort and dis-ease with that whole situation because it ain't nothing to play with. So she gets emotional, but, the employees are like, well, maybe we need some more, specifically her cousin Junior, who is the production manager. He feels like they need some more hands. And she's like, but are we really at capacity? Are y'all working at your max capacity? Because Courtney feel like he be seeing these folks on the phone. Now, can you imagine you got a business? Okay, you got a business and you didn't hire your family members, which is probably mistake number one. But that ain't always a mistake, okay? Because I work with one of my family members, but she is good, okay? Um, so you working with your family member, but they slacking. So it's two things right there. It's already one thing when somebody that you working with is slacking, but it's a lot easier to fire somebody or to get on their case when you're not related to them, because I feel like when you related to them, you kind of have to pull your punches a little bit. So that's already a little bit of an issue right there. So I feel like when you hire a family, you got to already see that they are an obsessive person. You know what I'm saying? I want to work with obsessive people. I do. I ain't gonna lie to you. And I gotta tell you, if you ain't working with obsessive people, I need to see you obsessive in your day-to-day life before I hire you. I do. Because if I see that you're not obsessive, then I know you're gonna be a liability to me. All right. So anyway, they're gonna have to let some people go. Meanwhile, cross town, Melody is conducting a business meeting as well. And I said, what in the Last Supper is going on here? Baby, the way they had that table arranged, it was filmed like it was the Last Supper. All right. And I was like, yes, Lord, yes, give it to us. Give it to us. Give us business. All right. Y'all said y'all want business. Y'all gonna get some business today. Now, I've got to tell y'all the truth. It would be on any other show, it would feel like, depending on who the person was, it would appear that this scene was giving us some theater. Okay. And what I mean theater is, let's get all the business people and let's look at the whole team together, sit them down like the Last Supper. Okay. And we're gonna go down the line and y'all gonna tell me what I got going on. Tell me what you want. So I said, yes. I said, you better have this team ready for and have their points ready to be made. Yes, you got me you want me in the movie? Yes, you got a movie written for me and a script written for me down there at the table on the end. Yes, okay. You got me doing, Miss PR lady for the United States. Oh, you got me working over here, you got the sales for 7th Avenue Beauty. Yes, and listen, the lady beside her, baby, the international lady, y'all ain't got nothing on Black Anna Wintour. Okay, y'all ain't got nothing on Black Anna Wintour, the international publicist, baby. She was like, I have my contacts in Luxembourg, I have my contacts in Dubai, I have my contacts in Milan, because baby, we're going to get you all over Fashion Week. Yes, we are. I said yes. I said, baby, but here's the thing. Y'all you gotta hit me when I say this, y'all, because some of y'all gonna be mad when I say it. But I'm gonna say it anyway. Now, this whole scene would be easy to write off as theater, okay, and as funny comedy. But the fact is that she's actually doing these things. If you look online, you will see she got the fashion things going on. She's got the speaking engagement. She got the business. She's got the tours. I mean, the woman is working, okay? When I open up my Instagram, let me tell you what I see, okay? Melody is on there packing up orders, all right? That woman is working, all right? So you can say what you want. You can dislike her, and I know some of y'all do. I don't know why. Some of y'all don't like Letitia. I don't know why. Some of y'all don't like Stormy. I don't yet know why. These women, to me, are entertaining me, okay? So, baby, the scene was funny, but to me, I was like, y'all know what? We asked for work, and we are getting that work, all right? So they commenced to kind of going down the line, and it's nice to also see, because y'all remember, this is a Black woman that's doing all of these things, right? This is a Black woman, and so I also feel like, sometimes we get lost in the sauce of what this show is in terms of the drama of it all. But then when you also look and when you dissect this further, when you see Stormy and her husband, Courtney, managing a business enterprise and they got their own warehouse, we should be looking at these things and saying, how can I do that? When you see Letitia and Marceau, though they may have their own way about going about putting together this expo, and then they bringing in the slutty vegans and stuff. We should be looking at these people and saying, how can I do that? Okay. When we see Melody with the team of people, because that the message is, okay, take from this, baby. Take from this that when you have a team around you, okay, when you got the right people around you and you put the right people in place, baby, you can do all types of amazing things. But the thing that I like that she shows is it's not just her doing these things. These are people around her that are helping her. So everybody in this episode, you can look at them and you can see there is the element of A, they got something going on. B, they got a team that's helping them. Even Courtney and Stormy, even Martell and Marceau have combined forces, okay, to achieve a greater good. And I want y'all to see that, okay? I want you, despite what else we got to talk about with the episode, despite the drama that we talk about on this episode, as people, I want y'all to see that, all right? See that. Take from this episode that, because that is what they are showing you, all right? So yes, there is some, like, you know, and it looks funny, especially it might look funny to somebody that ain't doing it, all right? Let's put it to you real. But I want you to see that when we see these things on the screen, baby, when we see these things happening on the screen, that lets us know that somebody looks like us can achieve it, so we can achieve it too. Baby, let me tell you something. I ain't gonna pass to the day. I ain't gonna pass to the day because I could, okay? I definitely could, but I'm not gonna do it today, even though you getting this on a Sunday on the right day. Okay. So anyway, Melody, I had to go. Y'all know I got to give it to y'all sometimes, baby. Y'all know I got to give it to y'all sometimes. I got to scream and holler at you, baby. I got to get up on the pulpit, baby, but I got to do it. So I won't even intending to go there for real. But y'all know sometimes I have to let the spirit move me, baby. I got to let the spirit move me. And so the Lord said you got to go. God said go. God said go, and I had to go. So I think the Lord might be saying, get back to your notes. So Melody is trying to be in the best space for herself, and sounds like she's got a good team around her. So she's planning the birthday party for Malia and Mariah. You know, the two girls that are closest in their birthdays are closest together or whatever. Marceau and Letitia have a pop-up with the slutty vegan people. And, you know, it's a good turnout. Marceau and Maurice and Kimmy show up and they, you know, come out and support. And so they recap the not so comeback, don't call it a comeback, the Core 6 meeting or whatever. And, you know, did it go better than they expected it to? Well, yes and no, yes. But I mean, yes, because nobody was arguing or nothing like that. But, you know, how are Melody and Martell going to work together because they are still going through their own issues? But, you know, for Letitia, she's like, I mean, that's their personal stuff. So as long as we work to keep the personal stuff out of the business, then we can all move forward successfully. So the question comes up, you know, how do they want Maurice and Kimmy to participate? And Letitia lets them know that it's still kind of in the ideation phase. But for Marceau, he basically says, well, you know, we're pretty much using you guys. All right. And so that could be a little bit of an issue. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, I think at some points listen, I'm going to tell y'all the truth. I do not like asking for favors from my friends when it involves their business or them doing business with me. My preference is to pay everyone. Let me tell you why I like to ask for payment. Okay. Even if you tell me you'll do it for me for free. and this has always been my thing, especially as I've gotten older. Because if I pay you, then my level of expectation is that the service that I'm asking for or requesting will get done, right? If I don't pay you, or if we have a situation where you're not being paid, then if something happens and it don't work and it don't turn out right, or I don't get what I need, then I can't really complain because I really wasn't paying you like that. That's how I feel. But if I'm paying you, then I got the right to complain. I got the right to ask for what I want because there's an expectation that comes with pay that means that this is some legitimate business, right? And so as legitimate business is done, I expect a legitimate result. All right. That's just baseline how I roll, right? So I try not to ask people for favors, and I try to limit the amount of things that I ask for from people, because I just feel like I A, value their time, and I B, value the work that they do. So that's how I feel. So with this situation, I think that if you are asking these people to come out and participate in some way that is going to require them to do some level of service, that I do think that you should pay them. But that's just me, right? I get it, because this is a community-based organization, which Kimmy also feels like they're kind of using to their advantage. I just feel like you pay people, because I just think that, especially for something that they do already, right? If they're a speaker and they're speaking, just offer them some type of honorarium, so that way they at least feel like, okay, like they're getting something out of it, even if it's not what they normally get, right? That's just me. Um, but in their confessionals, Marceau says that they sound like Kimmy and Maurice sound like the Holts, and Letitia says that she needs them to be Team Scott, and that maybe Kimmy and Melody been hanging around each other for too long. And in my mind, I was like, y'all, because Kimmy, lets us know in her own confessional, like, she's in a specifically difficult spot, because not only is she focused on her recovery, I'm sure she's also trying to balance her own life with filming and with just day-to-day life stuff and family. And so I think it is a little bit unfair for them to make that sort of comparison, or to even think that people don't have a right to ask for what they're for to ask for pay. It feels to me like reminiscent of the SWV and the escape thing, which is always an interesting conversation when you bring up legitimate business concerns, and then there is a little bit of a reaction to it that is like, oh well, you who you think you is, you know what I'm saying? So I do feel like that was a little bit unfair to me, because again, Kimmy is going through something that is that is life changing. It's a life changing experience, and so I just feel like y'all could be definitely a lot more lenient with her when it comes to that, because um, each day is probably a decision to choose to be in a good frame of mind, and I'm sure that it is a challenge. I'm sure it's a challenge to try to balance all of these things, and so I just didn't like that. Um, there was also this idea that, Kimmy raises about people when they get to, new levels. And I'm assuming she could have been talking about either Martell or Melody, because I've kind of alluded to you guys that, you know, um, certain people have certain fees associated with them to do interviews, and certain people don't, right? Or certain people have certain fees that they charge for speaking, and some people don't, especially as they've grown in a space. I mean, think about look back at Nene, right? We look back at Nene when she was on the Real Housewives of Atlanta, and maybe when she first started, I'm sure that there were things that she might have been happy to do for less amount. But as her star rose by season 6, as you guys could see, Nene's star had risen, right? And she was at a point where she was at that point investigating TV deals and all kinds of things. So I do agree that as people ascend and as they rise outside of the operations of the group and what they were typically doing, I do believe you have to kind of account for that to some small degree. But I also agree with Letitia that they are all growing in their own right. But I also think that because she also recognizes that they're all at different levels now, that she should also recognize the value that people bring to the table, in terms of that they might want to be compensated for what they are offering. And so I do feel like, we can't also discount the fact that when you ask people to promote on their social media, you're also asking for their audience's attention as well. So there's a lot that goes into it, and that you do have to be mindful of, right? um I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't really know. um so there's that. So we then get Martell and Marceau meeting up for a study session. And we learned that Martell is helping Marceau with, getting healthier in terms of like his physical fitness, which that's obviously a strength for Martell. So it's nice to see a little bit of a trade off with him and offering some workout tips or whatever he's training and whatever he's doing with Marceau to help Marceau get to the place that he wants to be, which Martell says to be more attractive. Which I guess, I mean, body yada yada does help make people attractive, especially for guys, right? Actually, for everybody. But beauty is in the eye of the beholder, remember. Also, with that is the fact that Marceau is helping Martell study for his builder's license. I'm assuming he said contractor's exam, but I'm assuming this is builder's license, which is nice to see because he does let us know that he's taken it several times, but he just hasn't passed it. So, um, interesting there because I understand that whole process. Last year, I think we kind of, I don't want to say joked about it, but I do feel like we had conversations about Martell focusing more on that and less on the drama with some of the women in his life, and but I also understand the idea that as an adult, it is so difficult to get back into a mode of study when you really haven't had to do that for quite some time. So I do get that, but I also feel like that was also why it was important for me to also finish my real estate stuff because I felt like I could not have been talking to you guys about, him not taking his builder's exam or not at least following through with that if I didn't do the same, right? Because I was so critical of it, I literally put myself through HE double to get this real estate license in the can, okay, to get this exam done, right? So it was really, I mean, it wasn't just about that keeping my word, but it was also about just the fact that it was something that I wanted for myself. You know what I'm saying? Do I intend to be out here selling homes, like, showing houses? I don't know. I could, you know what I'm saying? I feel like I might be good at it, but also too, it's about just, trying to keep my word in what I say I'm gonna do. And I did it. And so I feel like it's nice to see him taking the initiative and getting some help when he needs it. So I think that there's nothing wrong with that. They get to talking about how, they talk about the Core 6 meeting and, how it's refreshing. And, Martell wants to know, well, when Letitia and Melody became so close. A part of me does have to wonder if it took a good little talking to from production to get them on the right path. You know what I'm saying? Because ultimately the show would have been very fractured had Letitia and Melody not made the concerted effort to get back at least to a cordial place or a place where they can coexist for the sake of the cast, the kids who are obviously know each other, as well as just the fans themselves. Like, we can't watch a show where two people who are really a part of the core group can't even like be in the same room with each other, or it's just so, the energy feels so toxic that they just can't coexist. It's just awful. So anyway, they get onto this discussion that, Letitia has invited, well, excuse me, Melody has invited Letitia to the girls' skate party. And, Martell reveals that, one of the daughters actually emailed him and said she wanted him to be there and that Melody has said it was okay. Now, that's a little sketchy because this is his word that he has said that that's the communication that he has gotten. Now, Marceau doesn't really know what type of advice to give him because he does realize that anything that he says about this situation would be purely hypothetical because he doesn't know because he's not in it, okay? He would like to think that he would be able to get to that place with he and Letitia should something like that have ever happened between them, which God forbid we don't want that. But, he would like to think that maybe, just maybe, he could get to that point. It's interesting to me because I feel like there's a big part of Melody that is really in the protective mode for protecting herself. But I think that there's also the battle with the idea that, he's the father of the kids. So I think this is a difficult one, and we'll touch on that in a bit, in just a bit. So anyway, back to Stormy's warehouse. She meets with her cousin Junior, and basically, I'm gonna tell you like this. you know, Junior has allegedly been coming in late. Courtney got to pull up into this meeting, and Junior is really relying on this idea that, you know, there's a grace period that I can get in to work. You know, if I got to be here at 8, I got at least 5 minutes, baby, before I have to be like really in there. Okay. Um, and but Stormy said, well, bro, you coming in at 8:08 and 8:10. Boom, like an 8:08. Okay. And that's this is not possible. This is not good. And Courtney's like, well, you're always on that phone, and they get to going back and forth about who's on the phone and who's blind and who can't see. And so ultimately, Stormy got to fire him, and Courtney's like, well, all right, I'm gonna see y'all later. That was all. That was the scene. That was what we needed to do. He picked up his bags like Melody last week. Got that bag. Said, all right, I'm gonna go get this baby, and I'm gonna go ahead and get up out of here. Now that we got business done. And Stormy's like, well, can I have a hug, cousin? I know I just fired you, but it seems like there might be some underlying other issues there, but I don't know because the cousin is not so much a focus on this show. So I would have to speak with Stormy, herself to find out what those actual issues may be. Because sometimes you feel like you seeing what's on the screen, but there's also some other underlying things that's going on there. So I'm hoping that we get more as we get to know Stormy's family. All right, so we get to the skate party. Hey, hey, hey. Letitia arrives with her kids, and Martell arrives too, baby. Martell comes through it in his tracksuit. And Mel is like, so listen, come on over here. Let me talk to you outside these doors. Ain't no cameras. No cameras out here. Okay. But the camera said, okay, fine. I'll just get you from out here. Okay. I can still see you through the glass. I see you. Cameraman said, I ain't gonna miss a beat, and you still might. So anyway, she's asking him to leave and come get the babies later, okay, because it'll still be their birthday. And he's don't want to leave. According to the law, I think she get the kids on odd years for their birthdays and things like that. And Miss Van steps outside and things get heated. And apparently he was invited to the last birthday, but didn't show up for some reason. He get to screaming at Miss Van, and Miss Van get to screaming at him. And Mel threatens to have the police escort him out. And he's like, I'm going to see my kids regardless. So you can call these police if you want to. So he goes inside and spend a little time with the kids for about 5 seconds. And then he is on his merry way out the door. This scene is, I don't know. It's a difficult scene because I don't have no kids with nobody, and nothing like that. So it's difficult. It's also difficult because I feel like there's a lot of trauma that she's experienced, as we talked about earlier in this season. And I feel like as a result of that trauma, she has had to put up very strict walls for him. And I feel like the difficulty with Martell is that, there may be instances where he may be in the right, or there may be instances where he probably would, under any other circumstances, be able to attend these types of events. But I think from what we're seeing, and I could be wrong, is that based on what we're kind of seeing a little bit of in this season and prior seasons, is that when he is in those situations, there tends to be a little bit of a boundary overstepping, such that she has learned that she has to have complete cutoff from him in general in order for the event to remain peaceful. So I think that in this respect, they haven't gotten to a place where they can co-parent. Maybe I'm just as somebody who's watching it, they haven't gotten to that place where they can co-parent and be okay, where there's no boundaries being overstepped during said instances of public co-parenting, such that the effect is not that the kids don't see tension. I don't know. This is a difficult situation for me. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, especially if you are parents out there. I would love to hear commentary from parents who are maybe having to deal with this issue. I think that your perspective is going to be of good value to some of the rest of us who maybe don't necessarily have kids. I mean, we can all say what we think, but I think until you're in that situation, you just never really know. I think it would be nice if they could both be there in the same space, but I think that probably something happens usually when they try to do that and maybe it doesn't go that well. But for Martell, he does say that he feels like she doesn't want people to know that they can get along, but I don't understand why she would want that. Like, it would seem to me like it would be the opposite. Like, she would want people to know that they could get along. So that's interesting. Kiki arrives, and Melody, Letitia, and Kiki all have a nice little ponderosa where they discuss, that Kiki and Letitia are on better terms, Melody and Letitia are on better terms, and now they just need to get Kiki and Tiffany sorted out because Kiki still feels disrespected by Tiffany. So Melody does let her know, girl, we're going to be having a tea party in the name of the Lord, and you are welcome to come and bring your issues to the tea party, but we're going to have a communications expert there, which is probably a good thing. Although when I saw the preview, I did not see that communications experting. So we'll just have to wait and see how that goes. But I think the idea is great. So let me know what you guys think about this episode of Love and Marriage Huntsville. If you liked it, if you enjoyed it as much as I did. And with that being said, I will catch you all in the next video.